So it's the morning after the night before. George Groves lost his WBA World Super Middleweight title last night in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia to Callum Smith. And according to this article here on Boxing Scene, George Groves has ruled out retirement despite that knockout loss. Now, George Groves, if you've studied him as a character and as a fighter, you'll realize that he is very, very mentally strong. He's very determined. He's very single-minded. And the proof is in the pudding with regards to that. Just look at the way his career has unfolded. Look at all the setbacks that he's overcome, all the losses and disappointments that he's managed to bounce back from. So he's a very determined character. But as I've mentioned many times before in previous videos, fighters with this level of determination, fighters with this level of tunnel vision and single-mindedness, that attribute which allows them to become successful can also work against them later on in their careers. It's a double-edged sword. There is a thin line between self-confidence and self-delusion. And we don't know when George Groves is going to cross that line. Because a guy like Groves didn't get to where he is in life. He didn't get to where he is as a professional boxer by listening to the naysayers. He didn't get there by doing that. If he would have listened to the naysayers, he would have retired a long time ago. In fact, if he would have listened to the naysayers, he probably would have never become a world champion at all. So he has got to where he's at by trusting his own judgment and trusting his own self-belief. And because of that, he's not really thinking about what the naysayers have to say. The people who think he should retire. He's not listening to them. Because they're not the ones who got him to where he's at right now. You understand? But time waits for no man. Father Time is undefeated. Eventually, the naysayers will be right. You can't go on forever. Eventually, George Groves will go to the well and the well will be dry. Perhaps he already did that against Callum Smith. Who knows? Perhaps he can bounce back and have some success. We'll see. But at this point, it looks as though he has no intention of retiring. Perhaps his family might persuade him to. Maybe he'll change his mind after some weeks or months of contemplation. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Should George Groves retire? Should he continue? Do you think he's got more left in him? And if you think he should continue, what should be his next course of action? Should he maybe try fight James DeGale, a crossroads fight, beat Chris Eubank Jr. to it? I don't know which fight would be bigger. James DeGale versus Eubank Jr. or George Groves versus James DeGale. Because Groves and DeGale got history. They're both former world champions. Eubank has got a name, but his name has been somewhat tarnished by his previous performance against George Groves. So I'm not sure which would be a bigger fight. But in my view, that's something that George Groves should entertain, is a James DeGale fight. Because that is that's truly a crossroads fight, right? George Groves against James DeGale. That's definitely a crossroads fight. If George Groves does decide to retire, he's had a great career. He's done very well for himself. He's been involved in some massive historic events. So he's got nothing to be ashamed of and everything to be proud of if he is going to bow out now. And for me personally, just as a little bit of trivia here, George Groves has got the best ring entrance in boxing today, as far as I'm concerned. I love his ring entrance. I always get gassed and hype when that Spitfire Prodigy starts playing. And George Groves comes storming to the ring. I was only hoping that it would last longer in his ring walk last night. I was hoping he'd do a couple laps of the ring so the song could play a little bit more. George Groves is storming around. Like, it gets me so hype when George Groves is on the way to a boxing ring with that Prodigy song playing. Crazy. In fact, it's definitely one of my favorite boxing entrances of all time. Now, there have been loads of different fighters over the years who had memorable ring entrances. But me personally, I prefer when fighters have a particular theme tune that they always stick with. Because you had people like Mike Tyson, whose entrances were interesting, right? You had people like Prince Nassim, who always had theatrical, interesting entrances. But they didn't have a particular theme that they would always play. You know, and that's me, for me personally, what I like when it comes to ring entrances is when there's a particular theme that they play. And, you know, like some of my favorites of all time were Chris Eubanks Sr., you know, was Simply the Best. I'm telling you, that used to get people hype when that came on. And Eubanks Sr. was milking the crowd on the way to the ring. It was just epic when Simply the Best Tina Turner was playing and Chris Eubanks Sr. was coming out with people, either people booing him or cheering him. It was still epic when he used to come. It was this incredible entrance that Chris Eubanks Sr. used to have for his fights. Nigel Benn as well. His entrances were gassed. Oh my gosh, Nigel Benn. Like when those, because he used to use different music to be fair, but he always used to have the chimes of Big Ben. And that, you know how excited and gassed that used to get Londoners when you used to go to a Nigel Benn fight and the lights dip down low and you're waiting in anticipation for the Dark Destroyer. And all of a sudden, ding, 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 ding. And everyone's like, ah. I'm telling you, it was crazy. Nigel Benn ring entrances. Who else was there now? Nigel Benn was good. Chris Eubanks Sr., obviously. I'm trying to think of some other people that had consistent ring entrances with that always used the same theme song. I suppose Ricky Hatton's was all right, you know, for what it was. Blue Moon, and all that business. You saw me standing alone. Yeah, Ricky Hatton's was all right as well. Who else was there now? What other ring entrances was there? You know, some people like the Klitschko's, but I wasn't really a fan. And today you've got like Dylan White, who does his howling and he has his songs. And well, it's cool, I guess, but nothing memorable to me. I used to like when Derek Chisora would come out to the Only Fools and Horses theme, but he don't seem to do that anymore. But I loved when Derek Chisora was coming out to Only Fools and Horses. I loved that. that was good. It really suits him as a personality, not just his name, you know, Del Boy. Who else is there now? Actually, Kell Brook, when he comes out to All of the Lights by Kanye West and Rihanna, yeah, that's good as well. That's good as well. That's a good song choice for Kell Brook. All of the Lights. Yeah, that's good. But for me, like a ring entrance needs to reflect the fighter's personality in some way or reflect the fighter's style. And it has to also suit boxing. You know, it has to be suitable for the occasion. So AJ's entrances are like, man, you know, they're cool, but nothing memorable for me. Even though there's big lights and pyrotechnics and all this kind of stuff going off, his ring entrances are just not memorable for me. You know, they're just, whatever. I need the correct song and the song that just captures the energy, you know? Like Chris Eubank Jr. comes to the ring to Still Dre. Like, what's that got to do with boxing, or what's that got to do with him? Because Eubank Jr.'s name is not Dre, he's called Chris. So, like, if he was called Dre or something, then it might fit into the whole Dre theme. Still, I don't get why he chooses that song. It don't fit the vibe of the event. It just, it don't work for me. Who else was there? Lennox Lewis. He used to come to the ring to Bob Marley, Crazy Barlad. You know, it's one of my favorite Bob Marley songs. But anyway, never mind me getting caught up in ring entrance songs and that type of business. I should have made that as a separate video, to be fair. George Groves, what's he going to do with his career? Will he bow out? Should he bow out? Can he come back? And if he does, who should he fight next? Let me know in the comment section below, people. It's happening about. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.